You're now tuned in to 13signsastrology.com. On this episode, what I want to do is that I want to help out all my fellow subscribers out there, and all the people out there that may have creative interests. And I want to help you to kind of like learn how to activate your creative interests. Because basically, like what fuels me to do what I do, and what like really propels me forward, is my creativity. I mean, it's my not just my creativity, but it has a lot to do with my whole lifestyle. And I think my lifestyle perpetuates creativity. So what I want to do is just share a few tips and different things that I do real briefly to help the listening audience out there to kind of activate your creativity. Now, you are a human being for the most part. I mean, I know some people may feel like they're aliens and things of that nature, but at the end of the day, you may be an alien sharing a human's body. Then I'll just say it like that. And if you're an alien sharing a human's body, one thing you got to remember is that human comes from the term humin, Humim, and humin means creative one or creative entity. Humim is the Sumerian term for human. That's where they got the word human from. So when you say that you are human, you are creative, you are fertile, you are put here to produce. That's what you were put here to do. And this is why you have a sex drive, and this is why you have a kundalini, and this is why you have all of these amazing gifts in this amazing vessel called your body, is because you were put here to create. So if you don't feel creative, or you don't have anything that you do that's creative, then it's a problem. It's a health problem going on with yourself. You got to actually think about that, because if you just come home from work, say for instance, and your job is not really a job that activates your creativity in any kind of way, then for the most part, what this means is that your creativity is stagnant. You have what's called a health problem. And if you come home and you watch TV, and you spent all these hours working, and the only thing you could think of is to watch TV or to play a video game or something to that nature, or smoke some weed, you have like more of like a psychological or spiritual health problem. Now, you may be physically fit, but at the end of the day, you are not activating your creative juices by doing those things. Now, watching television, don't get me wrong, there's different levels to watching TV. It depends on what you're doing, because you could be watching TV from a business perspective, which is different, which requires a little bit more creativity to do that. And those people that know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. But if you're just sitting around watching television, just watching any old show willy-nilly, and just sitting around getting fat, eating a bunch of Cheetos, and you're not being creative with it, then you have a health problem. If you come home and you're sitting around and you smoking weed, and you're not really doing it for purposes of creating something, then you have a health problem. Now, you can smoke weed and be creative, so I'm not saying that just because you smoke weed that means that you're not creative, because it does activate the creative juices. But if you're just wasting your high and you're not at the studio and you ain't doing nothing like that really stimulates your creative instincts, then you are basically in a situation, a mode to where you're creating a health problem for yourself. So what I want to do is I'm going to give you about 4 tips and things that you can do to help to spark your creative juices. And the first thing that you can do, or that I promote people to do to spark their creative juices, is you have to change your scene. Got to have a change of scene. Got to have a change of task. If you do the same things over and over again, you're going to get the same results. If you do the same things over and over again, expecting different results, then you are insane, according to a wise saying. So you have to have a change of scene, a change of task, and this promotes creativity, because when your eyes are viewing different sceneries, this is really something that you've already visualized and created in your mind's eye, your third eye. So when you see this new scene or this new place, this was a place that you had already dreamed up, because there's nothing going on here in this universe that hasn't happened before. So you have to have a change of scene and task. If you go, like say for instance, if you get off work, instead of going home and watching television, go to the park. Start off doing that. Then after that, go to the library. Then you may find some good books that spark your creative juices. Then you might start reading those good books. And that's going to help you become more creative. versus just coming home and just sitting around watching television and you wondering like, man, Rod, how come I can't be creative? Like, why don't I have a talent or something that I can do to help to further my creative side? Because this is what you were put on the planet to do. You have to remember that. Even if it's like even if you own your own business. See, owning your own business, you have to be creative to do something like that. Owning your own business, it takes creativity to own your own business. Um, to own your own business, you have to come up with different tactics and different ways and approaches on doing something. You have to always be willing to reinvent yourself. So when you own your own business, even though you might not be an artist or you might not be like a landscaper or someone that's into the creative arts from a visual perspective, but you're into the creative arts from more of a mental perspective or a psychological perspective, because owning your own business is psychological, because in order to get people to spend money with you or to get contracts or whatever you do, you have to be creative on a psychological level. You have to spark their interest. So that's being creative. And you may get to a point where you can discover which type of business that you want to own if you change your scene up, if you get you a new book, if you go in a different direction. Don't do the same thing over and over again. Now, another thing you can do to get more creative is that you want to change your diet. A bad diet stagnates you because a bad diet affects your mind, affects your mental state. So you want to change up your diet. Like if you're eating a bunch of meats every day, if you're eating a bunch of foods that promote fats and a bunch of starches and things of that nature, you want to switch that up, because those foods are affecting your mind and they're putting residue onto your etheric mind. Because when you eat the foods, like say for instance meats, you're taking on the emotions of that animal. And the emotions of the animal may have been in a dark state before he was slaughtered. Because you got to remember, these animals are in slaughterhouses before they die, so they're depressed usually. So you wonder why you're not creative, because you're eating a depressed piece of flesh. So you got to change up your diet. You got to take up that vegetarian diet. You got to, not only that, you may even have to take up an alkaline diet. You may have to go on a fast in order to really get this activated, because you may have been eating bad for so long that it's kind of like, even though you're changing up your diet and eating vegetarian now, you still don't feel creative. And this is because you may have been eating unhealthy for 15, 20, 30 years. So you got to change that up. And the alkaline foods is going to activate the creative juices within you, because plants are naturally creative, because anything in nature is creative. So you want to take up a plant-based diet, which is pretty much an alkaline diet, and you want to do that for about 3 weeks. And if you eat plants, all plants for 3 weeks, I guarantee you that your creative juices will be sparked. If you eat fruits, fruits are living. Anything living is creative, is fertile, because life is creative. So you want to eat live foods. That will help you a lot. Now, another thing you want to do is if you want to become more creative, is that you want to sun gaze. You want to get out in nature. Anytime you get out in nature, you are looking at technologies. Anytime you look at the birds, you are looking at a form of technology. Anytime you look at plant life, you are looking at a form of technology. Anytime you look at the sun even, you're looking at a form of technology. So you want to look at nature, because nature is really I guess you can say, the root of creativity. Because all of our creative interest comes from nature. It comes from Mama. We call her Mother Ninti. So you want to get in tune with Mother Ninti. You want to begin to look at the animals. You want to begin to watch National Geographic. You want to begin to watch Animal Planet. You want to begin to do things like that. You want to watch those survival shows, because you want to do stuff like that. So that's going to activate the creative interest inside of you. Now, the next thing you want to do, and lastly, what you want to do is if you want to become more creative, is you want to start working with crystals. Crystals are naturally from the earth, and certain crystals cause you to spark your creative juices. And I'll name maybe 2 of them, and then I'll go ahead and shut down. Now, the 2 good crystals that you can use to activate your creativity is citrine. And you can use jade is a good stone to activate your creative interest. Any crystal that's yellow or green, essentially, or even orange, or a quartz, any quartz. Or you can work with those crystals in addition to the quartz. Because any crystal that's yellow or green is going to cause you to activate your creative chakra, because the creative chakras are yellow, green, and orange. Those are the creative chakras. So any crystal with those colors, you want to work with those crystals. And crystals, what they do is they send frequencies to those particular chakras. And if they're chakras that are damaged, you can begin to heal those chakras by just holding that crystal or putting that crystal on that particular chakra. And it's going to heal that chakra. And not only that, it's going to give you ideas or feed that chakra different creative ideas that you never would have thought of. Because you got to remember, when you work with a crystal, you're working with a separate creative entity. This crystal is alive, but it has like a consciousness in and of its own. And when you take it into your cipher, you're bringing that consciousness to that crystal. All the years that it's been festering up under the earth, and all the years that it took, all the thousands or millions of years that it took to create that crystal, you're taking that into your energetic center. So those are some of the things that you want to do. Creativity, really, you're not going to get anywhere in life as far as your spirituality, from my perspective, unless you're creative. From my perspective, spirituality is an art. Spirituality, is, like I always say, is a science, and a science is an art. So you want to definitely get more in tune. If you want to definitely get more in tune with your spirituality, you're going to have to become more creative. Bottom line. Now, having the right, proper type of sex also is something that can make you more creative. Proper sex, not sex from lust. You just coming home and you're banging out just to bust a nut. But if you're having proper sex from a spiritual perspective, or partaking in meditation as well, any type of tantric or meditative practices, this is going to help you to become more creative. So I hope that helped. I hope somebody out there learned something. I hope this sparked some thought. This is just ways for you to regenerate your creativity. When you were a child, you have to remember you were naturally born creative. And this is why in the Bible it says that you can only get to heaven unless you come as a child, because in order to make it to heaven, you have to be creative. Creative fate is what got you here, and creative fate is what's going to get you out of here. Creative fate is what gave you your soul. Your soul came from creative fate because you came here to experience. Because before you came here, you didn't have a desire to experience. You just were in the realm of existence. You were a being, and beings just exist. They aren't necessarily experiencing. Some beings are experiencing, but you are a creative being, a human being. So this means that you are here to experience through the mode and the modality of creativity. So I thank you for listening. I thank you for watching. I'm going to go ahead and shut down. Until my next video, I'll leave you in Namaste, Hotep, good vibes, good creative energy. Peace.